Alrighty, think I'm live here on today, and we're gonna get going. All right, what's going on? What's happening? This is Quamon Fowler coming to you with a live stream on tonight, and we're gonna talk about what's wrong with you. What's wrong with you and what to do about it. Okay. So, all right. So now this is something really that I do. Um, these are thoughts I have about myself, right? And so the thing about, problems and issues, first of all, you have to be really good with assessing yourself, you know? And so I heard something that was very interesting. One of the guys, well, the owner of Songbird Live, we played a show this past weekend, and he said it's a theory until it works. And so he did a festival, and it was really nice. I mean, we played in the venue, and it had the sound. It had the sound engineers and the stage, the piano. It was Steinway piano, and they streamed it live, and also people could come and enjoy it in person. And he had the speakers playing on the outside of the venue, so it was really nice. And so I was just blessed by everything that he's doing and how it's grown. I hadn't played there in like years. And so, but yeah, I was like, man, people need to know about this. I mean, this is great. And it's in a small town, not too far from me. And so I was like, man, it's like, yeah, I was just inspired, and I was just thinking about some things that he could do to bring more visibility. But one of the issues is he's older, and so he's not as versed on the perspective with social media. He uses social media, but I was just telling him about you need to have some shorts and stuff going out like that, and then to keep I guess people engaged, because it's a great product and presentation, but the word just needs to get out. And so I was thinking about even that. Even I was talking with some of my guys tonight that are part of our mentorship program. And one of the things we were talking about is consistency and being consistent with getting the word out about what you do. And so with that said, you think about where you are right now. If you're, so it's different phases, like for people who are in business, or for if you're looking to earn more business or generate more gigs or opportunities or exposure to what you're doing, whatever it is, like you always got to think about what is wrong. And so the whole idea or the question, like what's wrong with you, you think about that. It could be a thing to where it's not necessarily anything wrong in the regard of what you're. So let me say it like this. I think you should think about this. What are you doing right? Right? And when you think about what you're doing right, you only have so much bandwidth. Like you can only do so much, and well too. I mean, we can only do so many things like really, really well. So one of the things you have to do is make sure you focus on knowing what is the most or the best value that you get from your time. You got to know what that is, and know that that's what people love you for. And so the things where you're weak in, the issues or the areas that you have issues with, in order to get the word out about whatever you're doing, or even delegating tasks to others, to help get more visibility. You have to leverage the strengths and the smarts of others so that they can help you in the area where you're weak, where you're having issues. So there's nothing wrong with you from the standpoint of, you just have a focus. You know that this is your area of strength and this is your area of expertise. So now you have to learn how to use that other area, like of delegation. You know what I'm saying? It's another book I started listening to where it says, is who, not how. Meaning like, who can help you, not how do I do it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to remember that people know you and love you because of what you've been doing a certain way over time consistently. As soon as you take your eyes off the prize and you neglect that area that you're really strong in, and then you start doing these other things, it can take time away. And even the concentrated growth that you might have, or effectiveness, let's say that you might have in one area, when you neglect it and you go do something else, it affects your production. And so you have to think about, as you get older, you get better, or as you grow, you got to think about delegation. You have to think about delegation. You can learn about yourself and assess your situation, and then just take note of, what do I need help with? Like, what do I do really well? And then what do people connect with? And then how can I make things better? Or how can I help to automate my process, or help to even have a system of execution in place that I can put others, or assign tasks to others so that they can help me to deliver what I want to deliver better. Because the thing about marketing, especially online, or just period, like, it's about consistency, and so people need to constantly be reminded that you are an option. You know what I'm saying? So out of sight, out of mind. Those people who have the millions to put into the machine for their content to keep on showing up, or even the production. Like, if they can record in bulk and then have a team that can chop up their videos and put the titles, the thumbnails, and all of the text and all of that, and it can just be going out every day, those are the people that are going to win, and that's where we are. The competition is a money game, and it's not even about, a lot of times, the message being good. It's just a message that's being promoted. I mean, we've seen that with the politics and all of that, but and that's, like I said before, truth. Lies have speed, but truth has endurance. But what you do, for one, if you're looking to, grow and make some changes going into the new year, you got to start now by thinking about, okay, what's wrong with me? And this could be in any area, whatever you have a problem with. You got to take responsibility. You got to be accountable, for or to somebody. And so this is why I always emphasize, the mentorship program that I do. And then I always like to talk about the importance of mentorship and community. Because when you got accountability and you're able to talk through things with others, and y'all have like powwows and can just talk about your problems and talk through some things. Like, we had a great conversation on Tuesday night, just talking in our group, and somebody was asking about just resources for doing, for coming up with your backing tracks. And performing at gigs and like what software to use on your phone. And so, or what software to take out uh, or to separate the stems from songs so that we could use certain tracks to play with. So we were talking about a lot of that stuff, and a lot of that happens in conversations with a community, And so a lot of people, I think, a lot of guys' problems, not just guys, but people in general, especially when it comes to the internet, there's so much on the internet that you can search for and find, but still people are afraid to connect with people. You know what I'm saying? That's the crazy thing about it. Like the internet, you got access to people around the whole world. And the thing about it, our community, as big as it is really small because people still don't want to reach out and connect. I'm all about it. Like I see this as an opportunity to connect with like-minded people. And so it's encouraging when you can actually, reach out to a person and connect with them, get on Zoom, talk to them throughout the week, have a community of other like-minded musicians or, business people that are able to talk and share ideas because we're going out in real life, talking, having conversations, going to events, finding information, learning about new things. Then we're looking at stuff online, finding new information and things. So those discoveries are great when you get to come together in a group and kind of talk about what you've experienced, what you've discovered. That's always fascinating. It's fascinating. It's always educational. It's always something that's very useful. So if you're a part of a nice knit group, where a focus group, and y'all are always pursuing like the next best thing or the greatest thing or the most best practices, the best practices for that particular industry, then it's going to put you ahead of the game. And this is why people pay thousands and thousands of dollars to go to school, because this is supposed to be the environment where you have trained, educated people with degrees who can teach you from their pedagogy on how to do a particular thing well. So you got to go to class. You have people who've all paid for those classes, and you can meet and mingle, and y'all can hang out, study together, practice or whatever. That's the whole point of having a school. And so what I've created with the Sound Musician Mentorship Program is like our virtual version of the school that I envision from the standpoint of being a sound musician. So that means having a great sound, having a voice, being able to express yourself, improvise, or you can say to deepen your language, and also understand how to do what you do better from the standpoint of with your business, your music, marketing, and business, because those are all areas that's needed. And so when you're isolated, when you're disconnected from a community and a mentor, then it's like your progress can be real slow. And I know YouTube and everything, people are just constantly, want to use YouTube to search and find everything. I mean, we all do it, but there's nothing that's going to replace human touch and human conversations, like real conversations that you can have, and even getting close to people, hanging out and talking with somebody, that human element, feeling their energy, and them actually acknowledging you and understanding you and your struggles and what you're going through, and talking with them. It's like you're not going to replace that one-on-one relationship with a human being. Like ChatGPT can't solve everything. You got to talk to somebody just to have better understanding and context and culture, all of those elements. You can't get rid of the human being interacting with other human beings, especially when it's a focused group. And so, and then there's a thing too, I've read books. Seth Godin tribes. He wrote that one a while back, but it was this new idea, impression on leaders where things had shifted to it's now a point at that time. It's been over 10 years or so, I think. But Seth Godin was responsible for Yahoo, I believe, like emailing and stuff like that when it first hit. But he was just seeing the trend and how everything was moving to this point of having your tribe. So having a group of people who are believing, are interested in a certain thing, and then you can be like the leader of your own tribe. Like that was a thing. And so now what you see now with a lot of influencers and podcasters, people are really taking that to heart, and they're looking to grow their audiences, create content, and really create an economy around the things that are important for that particular group. And that's where we are right now. That's just the culture, the economy of the culture, because you all watch this channel and other channels, and you can just see how the people's production have gotten better. They're doing commercials. They're, consistent, because you best believe they're getting paid from it. And so, but the insight that you want to get is going to come from conversations that you have with like-minded people. And so that's like the benefit from being a part of a paid community. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I offer with the Sound Musician. If you want to be a part of that, you can click the link that's in the description of this video, and you can join. And so also, I wanted to say this, just to give you just some feedback from like what I've learned and what I've done in terms of how I've grown. It's more and more I'm finding out the importance for us in order for us to be successful, we have to be in line with our true purpose and calling. Like, we go through trial and error, a lot of trial and error. We fail, we attempt things. So sometimes, we have this idea, general picture in our imagination on what we want to do and how we want to do it. We pursue things like my man was saying, it's a theory until it works. So before we, like in science, somebody messed with my door. I'm trying to see if that's somebody. But anyway, in science, you have your hypothesis. Oh, that's my wife. You have your hypothesis, which is your educated guess. So you'll draw a conclusion about something before you actually test it and, to experiment, go through your testing and see if it actually turns out the way that you thought beforehand. And so that's what happens too when we have ideas. So we'll have an idea that we want to do something. So I'll give you an example. All right. Let's say I want to be a professional musician. You say that when you're in your 20s, or you say that when you're in your teens. But then there's a huge gap in between your skill, your business sense, and what is reality. And so what happens, especially in that context, we came up listening to music, admiring music, artists, songs, the aesthetics, all of the, the depth and everything that was in that music, in particular, jazz, straight ahead jazz, or just jazz, or just music in general. Like, music is an expression of somebody's heart and soul. It's an art form, so there's tradition and culture and all of that that goes into it, the heart and soul of the people, you know. And so different people who you connect with, you know, you're going to take a liking to their music, and then you're going to be inspired. You're going to want to do that. But there's a gap in between the business, your knowledge of what it means to be a professional in that particular genre or industry, right? And so what happens, time goes by and your perspective is still based on when you were a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So you got to update your understanding of what's the newest business practices, the latest and the angle today. So this is why it's important to have conversations, because it could be, you know, it's a lot of different variables. So there's only so much that can be addressed when you're even watching content or listening to podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when you say, hey, I want to take a lesson with you, or I want to do consulting with you, or I want you to be my coach, or I want to be a part of your program, then you're taking things to a little more in-depth type of study and focus, to where you're paying for information and access so that you can get a better understanding, so you can update your awareness. Because what happens, like, as you experience things in the real world and you're playing gigs and you're trying to figure out like what you need to do to get better gigs, or to you know, to be able to play your own music, to be able to play the type of music that you want to play. And you know, it's a big difference between what you're imagining here and what's actually going on in the real world based on your region and wherever you're at. And so we have these conversations all the time with the mentors, with the mentees. I always say that, with the mentees. And, you know, we had some other mentors come on and talk with the group, and they share their insight and perspective. And so that's very important, because the gaps is from the standpoint of, like, you have people who have a local experience based on where they are, and then that can be a very different experience from somebody else that's in another place, another location. So I'm in Texas, DFW area. So I'll work around the DFW area, plus I do online work. I've put out 9 CDs or music projects. I've put out singles. I've sold courses. I've had a membership site. You know, I teach lessons. You know, I have a lot of experience, both with performing, educating, online stuff, content creation, and all of that. And so my perspective is you know, it contains all of that. I have a music degree, music performance, so I have a lot of experience. And so people who, let's say, who only have experience from the standpoint of working a job and then playing their saxophone on the side, and you might, you know, play with party bands and stuff like that, but you had that you know, admiration for jazz and being able to express yourself. But of course, there's just a huge gap between you actually being able to play the music that you really want to play, when you only have so much time because you're working. When you get off, you're tired, and then you'll take some gigs to do stuff on the side. So there's like a routine that you're in where you're not, you would dream to and even love to play a different type of music, but you kind of in this cycle that you can't get out of. So you get inspired through watching some of my videos or others, and he's like, man, I really wish I could do that. Well, the thing about it, you could be real close to being able to do it, but you just don't have the information, you know? And so that's the value of being a part of a community and having a mentor, because it's not really that far off. But your mindset or your awareness, you're lacking an awareness. This is why we leverage the experience and the wisdom of somebody who is doing it. And so I think about that, and everybody has a vantage point. Everybody has somebody that they admire, that they're looking to learn. Because I promise you, our problem is an awareness problem, right? It's an awareness problem. And so it's all about, and the Bible talks about this, being ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And also, like, that's literally a scientific term, like neuroplasticity. When you learn something new, it's like your brain changes. And so this is why I listen to something like a podcast or videos I'm watching, because I'm wanting to learn, I'm wanting to understand. You know, I've been listening to, I watched the interview with Stephen A. and he was talking with Bill O'Reilly. And so they were just talking about, uh, the political stuff. But Bill O'Reilly had sat down. He was talking about his book, United States of Trump. And so he was just saying he sat down with Trump and really interviewed him and got a chance to have him just share what he believed about business, what he believed about America, what he believed about politics. And this was just like not a non-biased approach, but he just wanted to get how he felt on these things. And so I've been listening to that book, because there's a lot of information that's online and agendas that are pushed to force a narrative and a perspective onto people who haven't researched, who haven't studied, and so they just are gonna subconsciously believe what the propaganda has been pushed. But when you actually take the time to listen or to study and read and really get more in-depth understanding of a person, then it's like, oh man, it's like, it's not what I thought, But the same thing happens with everything, like our knowledge. See, so what we know about a particular subject that we're not consciously into, like subconsciously we've been programmed, and whatever we've seen is in our subconscious mind. So it's like that is what we believe about something, even though we haven't studied it in depth. So there's impressions that are made upon us every day. And so we're believing stuff that's been programmed in our mind, to where if we actually would go study and read, then we would learn. It's like, we would correct those misunderstandings or those things that are lies. You know what I'm saying? And this could be true, like when we're talking about music, right? Let's think about giving an example like this. And this is really everything. Like, let's say, for instance, let's do songwriting. Let's say songwriting, right? So a lot of times we make things more complicated than what they are. And so the key to anything is very simple. In order to get better at something, you gotta do it more. So the more you do something, the better you will get. And you know why? It's because you're constantly, you have processes, right? And the more you do the process, the more your brain will get into a routine of going through those steps, and you'll get faster at it. I learned a lot from one of these brothers when I was on campus at Southern University, and when I was there, he was in town the same time. Somebody had hired him to produce a song, And so he came in there, he was in there hearing the song, and he was creating the beat, he was creating the chords. He was like just zooming through this stuff that I was listening to. I was like, man, that's nice when you do that. He's like, yeah, I just started. She just gave me, he said that she just gave him the vocals, and then he added everything around it. And so I was like, man, I can play on that. And so I went in there and I started playing. I started laying down horn parts to it. And he's like, okay, cool, right here. Okay, stack that for me. Okay, cool, let's go to this next section. But I mean, his whole process was just so quick. And I was like, golly. But he's saying, of course, when I was leaving, when I was a senior, he was like a freshman. So he said at the time he was a scrub. But he said the thing that he learned, he asked me what I was doing. I was practicing on something, and he asked me what I was doing. So I showed him at the piano what it was. And he took that and he started shedding on it. And he said, what you showed me it's really, it's like a foundation of how he approaches or what he puts into a lot of things. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But anyway, I was just taking that situation. I was listening to him and watching how quick he was just going through, just hearing the production and putting it together. And he's been, award-winning, Grammy award-winning, and I think if he didn't win, he's been nominated, and so he's very popular. My man is his name Ted. I got to get his last name, but he's in Atlanta now. Give him a shout out. But anyway, I was just looking at that. I was like, golly, man, he's really good at that. And so I'm not a producer. I produce my own music. I produced stuff for people before, but I'm not as quick. And of course, on keys, I can play keys, but I didn't go that extra step and learn how to really play like the keyboard players play, the gospel, neo soul type stuff in between chords, passing, and then even, of course, I know how to play chords and play what I need to play. I can hear it, but I hadn't put the time into really getting that. So I'm kind of limited in certain places, but it's okay because I'll outsource and get somebody else who can do that to help me out with that. So, but anyway, I'm just saying that it's the processes, whereas whatever you've done over and over and over and over, like you got a quick process and a system around getting things done. And of course, we're not superhuman, so we're limited. So that means you need to know what you can do well and what you can't do so well. And let's say this, even if you want to grow in the area that you're weak. So if I want to grow in the area of keyboard, I would have to practice, and I would have to take what I know, put it in different keys, get my fingers, get a lot of the stuff I know to do, be able to play it in different keys. I know the process. I know how to practice. I know how to become better on an instrument. It's just that I have not been consistent at that particular instrument. And, like I started practicing the bass, like what I have here. So, but my fingers still has to get used to every day consistently feeling the bass and where I need to be, because the more you do it, the better you get. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I think my issue, because we're talking about what is wrong with you. So what's wrong with me is, like, I'm entrepreneurial minded. And so I'm seeing opportunities to earn income. I'm looking for I'm looking at, let's say, things that I can delegate off to others, because if I want to practice on bass, if I want to practice on keys and focus on songwriting and all of that, then that means somebody has to be posting every day for me. Somebody has to understand, my business and the emails and texts that needs to go out. the communications with my groups and stuff like that. Somebody has to manage all of that. And so because I'm a business owner, or, I'm thinking about, or you can say self-employed, because that's the thing too. When business owners, their business work for them. When you're self-employed, that means you work for yourself. So you're wearing the hats of being the CEO, the manager, and the technician. The technician is the one that does the work. The manager is the one that manages the person that's doing the work, the people that are doing the work, and then the CEO is the visionary. And so he's thinking about the direction that the company is going. So we have to wear all of those hats until you get to the point where your processes can be delegated to others, and then they can help you to remove yourself from just being doing all the work, managing, and being a visionary as well. So, and it's a thing where you always have to learn. That's why I say it's an awareness problem. So I have to be made aware of what I am short in, my limitations. I need to know what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong right now? And it always changes. It's a shift because as you get better, you grow and you learn, then the more you realize, man, there's so much I need to learn. But it's okay, because that's growth. Because as much as you want to get closer to what you're imagining and to manifest the things that you're believing for, it's like as soon as you get close or feel that you're close and you open that door, then you realize, oh man, there's so much more I got to learn. But you don't realize that the progress that you made is really good progress. You've done really, really well. But it's all about your awareness and your focus at this particular time. Like, you can be at a different place right now because of what you focused in on. And sometimes we can lose or forget about all the progress, or not pay attention to the progress we made. Like, I can say this even about my playing. I know that I'm at a different place right now with my playing because I've been consistent with practicing. I practice with my mentees, every Tuesday. And then I've been practicing throughout the week and doing things. I've been doing streams here with you all and practicing. And I discover new things. Like the last session, I discovered the different mouthpiece and reed combination and ligature combination, and that really helped me. I was like, wow. And so that's the thing. Like, our brain, we have so much that we can access and really use. We're not using all of our brain. We're using a small percentage of it. So you can't be slothful and lazy and apathetic and just stay where you are and just allow the same routine to just happen, and you're not making progress, you're not growing. Like, you're doing yourself disservice. And just think about it. When you are done on earth and you stand before God, you want him to say, well done, good and faithful servant. Like, you were faithful with the talents and the gifts that I shared with you. You were diligent. You made sure that you gave. You made sure that you encouraged others. You made sure that you was a blessing to your family, to your second, third, fourth, fifth generation. You know what I'm saying? You got to have foresight and have that drive and desire for you to work on your future. This is prudence. To be prudent is you considering your future. So you're not considering your future if you're just caught up in what's going on now and you're not increasing your value. Because that's the thing, we want to increase our value. And sometimes for us to increase our value, we have to pay for something valuable. You know what I'm saying? Or it's going to cost us something. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to look at something and say, man, I don't have the money, I can't afford training, or I can't afford the mentorship program. And you think about that, like you can't afford not to. You miss more from not being part of a coaching program or a mentorship program than, not paying whatever that cost is. And I've done it. Like I've paid thousands of dollars for certain coaching programs and things like that. And the thing about it, once you are in those programs and you do the work, you talk, meet the people, go through whatever the training is, your brain, it changes you. So your perspective is totally different. You know what I'm saying? Once your perspective is different, you can't go and undo it. You can actually reap now from the value that you gained because it made you different. It made you better. And so that's the power in knowledge. That's the power in being a part of these communities. And the thing I like about God and I love God because he always listens. He always listens, and he knows where you are. He knows our heart. He knows our intentions, and he knows exactly what we need. And I'm not even surprised anymore because when he answers my prayers, it's like it's exactly what I need at that particular time. And so that's what excites me about being one who has faith, because I communicate with God like on a daily basis. He's communicating back and he's encouraging me. And so here's the thing I was just talking with my wife about. Think about this. Where is your mind? Where is the mind? Where is the consciousness? Where is it? Where is it located? And if you think about it, it's not physical. What you mean? It's just like a light, right? The actual light is illumination. You see the brightness. We can see it. It's a result of the electricity hitting the bulb, and then that bulb, which is physical, electricity is hitting that bulb, and then we see the illumination. If I was to unplug the light, there would be no illumination. It'd be gone. And so our consciousness or our soul is a result of a spirit being in a body. So we have a consciousness, we have a soul, And so our soul is our mind, will, and emotions. And so with that, we have to constantly update our mind. We have to train our emotions. We have to choose the right things, and we have to follow God's instruction, and he will speak to us. We worship God in spirit and in truth, and we can communicate with him through faith and through our prayer, and so reading his word as well. Not as well, that's like the main thing. That's where all of the understanding comes from, is knowledge of his word. This is what he said, And so if you want to go deeper and understand why this and why that, you can definitely do it. If you know what I'm saying? I'm saying because a lot of times for those people who don't have faith and don't believe in God, a lot of times they want to take the long route. And it's the long route. I mean, going down the rabbit hole. I didn't think I was going into all of this, but it's just like people ask the questions like, why is all the pain and suffering? Why would God allow this and why would God allow that? But the thing about it, God is, he created us with a free will. So everybody chooses, has the ability to choose. Even the angels had an opportunity to choose. So they chose to rebel against him with Lucifer, got kicked out of heaven. So they're in the earth realm. And so as soon as human beings, Adam and Eve get there, he wants to challenge Adam and Eve in their mind. And so he got them to believe a lie. And so once they got on his terms, then he gave him permission to oppress them. And so the enemy will try to deceive you and oppress you in your mind to influence you. Then you make him the God of this world. So God allowed that because he didn't create us as robots. He wanted us to have the ability to choose. So everything that we have that's bad is mixed in with good. We got all this creation and all of the different discoveries, a bass, a microphone, a mixing board. We got drums, we got keyboards. I mean, these brilliant minds, people, electricity, frequency, AM, FM, radio, light, all of these creative discoveries and inventions comes from God's creation, creators, creatives, because we were created in his own image and likeness. But in the midst of all of that, you got perversion, you got porn, you got homosexuality, you got adultery, you got abuse, trafficking, slavery, you got all of the bad stuff because it's a result of the human condition. So we still right in line with what is wrong with you, right? And so sometimes you need to go down those roads and just think about your mindset, or just really understand more about what you think and why you believe it. Like what I was talking about earlier, you can have these things in your subconscious mind and you haven't really studied, but you've been programmed to believe the way that you believe, and you're not even aware because it's just something that you just seen all the time or over time, and you haven't really studied it in depth. But the more you seek things out and learn and help give your brain more information, and then your mind can then make better educated decisions, then you'll be able to get a better understanding. Like the Bible says in Proverbs, in all you're getting, get an understanding. And that's from Solomon, one of the wisest men ever. And even with Solomon, great example, he had the good, knew a lot of good stuff, but he also knew a lot of bad stuff too. And so his writings are even, outside of the Bible. And that's where you get all your esoteric doctrine and stuff. A lot of that from Solomon, because he did, have wisdom, dark knowledge, because of him getting into the false god worship of Moloch and Baal, and he got into from all of those different wives and stuff he had from those other nations. He ended up getting into sin. And so, yeah, people would come and get knowledge from him, different kings and different people from around the all over would come to him, and it was said that he wrote certain things that, and he had a ring that could control the demons and stuff like that. So he was a deep brother, but he just used his stuff for the wrong reasons in between in his life. Of course, in the Bible, we got Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Songs of Solomon, but he wrote other things, But what people will do, I tell y'all what people will do. Sometimes some information you ain't ready for. You need the basic stuff. A lot of times people will just go and try to learn other stuff that spiritually that is too heavy for them, that they not ready to really, they don't need to get into that because they don't have the basic foundational things that's found in Scripture, in the canon. And so then they'll say, well, they trying to hide stuff from us. It's like, nah, I mean, that could possibly, in some regards, but the thing about it, the Bible is so powerful. The Word of God is the Word of God. And if he can use 66 books, the revelation that's in the book, and if you deal with that, that can produce so much progress and liberation in your life. Of course, you can study and learn historical books and references and things like that just to give you better context and understanding. But if you don't have your foundation together, it's like, what are you doing? You're just, your motive is not right. And of course, you step out of bounds, the devil gonna get you anyway, because you're not doing anything new or different. There's nothing new under the sun. So the very knowledge that you go after just for the sake of learning, if your motive and your spirit is not right, then you are gonna attract the enemy. Demons assigned to you, and you'll get into be lifted up in pride and puffed up, and that goes back to the beginning. It takes you back to the beginning, because that was the whole reason why Eve wanted to eat the fruit, because she saw it was an opportunity to gain some knowledge, even though she had everything. Like, if God said you can eat freely from all these other trees, you can have anything you want, all of this stuff, they had everything they need. They walked with God. You know what I'm saying? And he just said, don't eat from this one. I was like, cool, I'm good, God. But then somebody deceived him. It's like, man, once you eat from there, he's trying to hide something. He's trying to keep something from you. And so she received a lie. She was deceived. And then she got her husband to eat. He was disobedient because God told him not to eat from it. But we still have that today. People will rather make decisions based on the lust of their eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, just so they could lord over people or make people in awe of them. And they don't realize that that's the same spirit that got Lucifer kicked out of heaven. That's the same spirit that got Adam and Eve kicked out of the garden. You know what I'm saying? They messed the whole thing up, and people are doing the same thing. So all of that revelation comes from within the word. And so I've been chewing on the word like all my life, and I'm growing, and even it's been getting better and better here lately, because I just been hungry for it and want to get understanding. And so you can reap the benefits of the word and good instruction when you apply it. It's like, I can talk till I'm blue in the face. You can hear and you can agree that it's the truth. But if you don't act on it, then you're not really benefiting from what you hear. It's like the scriptures say, it's like when they talk about a person that behold his face in the glass, in the mirror, and then he go away not doing anything about it. Where it's like faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And so faith without works is dead. So if you're hearing the word and you're hearing truth, and you're not actually taking the time to implement the truth that you hear, then you're not benefiting, or you won't benefit from the very word that you heard. So that's the word on today. I wanted to talk about and explore like what's wrong with you and what to do about it. So I hope this was helpful. And once again, if you want to become a member of the mentorship program, the link is in the description. It is shed.quamonfowler.com. If you're interested in lessons one-on-one with me, I'm open for that as well. Or if you want to book me to perform at your event or wherever, just email me at info@quamonfowler.com. All right, then, we'll see y'all on the next one. Okay, peace.